Welcome. Today we're going to explore some of the most valuable and highly sought-after 1-cent copper coins in the world. From rare era coins to pieces found in unusual or even dirty conditions, these tiny treasures hold massive significance in the coin collecting and investor world. What makes them truly special are the unique color shades, minting mistakes, and historical details that have turned them into prized possessions. These coins are not just everyday pocket change. They're pieces of history that tell a story, and in some cases, they become worth far more than their original face value. Whether you're a seasoned collector, a beginner, or simply someone who appreciates the beauty and significance of currency, especially when it comes to Australia's copper coins, this video is for you. So, get ready, because we're about to count down the top 4 most valuable 1-cent copper coins that could surprise you with their incredible market value. Let's dive right in. First up, the year 1966 holds a legendary place in the history of Australian currency. This was the very first year Australia transitioned from pounds and shillings to decimal currency, introducing new denominations like the 1-cent coin. At first glance, the 1966 1-cent piece might look like just another small copper coin, but what lies beneath its surface is a story of rarity, history, and unimaginable value. Collectors around the world have become fascinated with this coin because it represents not only the dawn of a new monetary system in Australia, but also the possibility of owning a treasure that could completely transform one's life overnight. What makes the 1966 Australian 1-cent coin stand out is its connection to a period of massive national change. Millions were minted, but only a fraction survived in pristine condition. An even smaller number have been discovered with unique errors or striking flaws. These imperfections, far from lowering the value, actually skyrocketed, turning a single cent into an item worth millions in today's collector's market. Imagine holding something so small in your hand, yet powerful enough to hold a kind of value that could change your destiny instantly. Many collectors believe that certain varieties of the 1966 1-cent coin hold hidden mysteries. Some coins display unusual coloring due to the copper's natural oxidation. Others carry double strikes or misalignments that slip past the mint's careful eyes. These rare variations transform an ordinary coin into a one-of-a-kind masterpiece. And when collectors discover one of these gems, the excitement is unmatched. It's not just about money. It's about owning a unique piece of Australian history that no one else in the world may possess in the same form. Over the years, stories have circulated of people unknowingly keeping these coins in jars, boxes, or old wallets, only to later realize they were sitting on a fortune. Picture finding an old 1966 1-cent coin in your drawer, brushing off the dust, and discovering that it's worth millions of dollars today. That single discovery has the power to elevate you from an ordinary life to extraordinary wealth overnight. This is why the 1966 1-cent coin continues to create such a stir in the numismatic community. It blends a magic of chance with the certainty of history. What makes this coin even more captivating is the imagery it carries. On one side, the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II symbolizes authority, continuity, and the crown's presence during a transformative era for Australia. On the other side, the iconic feathertail glider, a small Australian marsupial, represents a nation's culture and unique wildlife. These designs were not chosen at random. They were carefully created to showcase both tradition and national identity. Owning a 1966 1-cent coin means holding a miniature work of art, infused with symbolism and significance that collectors deeply treasure. The market value of this coin has surged to unimaginable heights, with certain rare examples fetching millions in private sales. It is no exaggeration to say that this humble copper piece has the potential to turn someone into a billionaire overnight. The frenzy around these coins is not simply about their monetary worth, but the status and prestige that comes with possessing something so rare. When a coin crosses into the realm of legend, it ceases to be just currency. It becomes a gateway to fortune and an artifact of national pride. Investors and coin enthusiasts alike understand that the 1966 1-cent coin is more than just a collectible. It is a solid store of value, one that grows stronger with every passing year as surviving examples become scarcer. Unlike paper money that fades or loses worth, rare coins often appreciate endlessly, especially when they are tied to historical milestones like Australia's decimal changeover. That is why collectors are willing to pay staggering sums. Because they are not simply buying a coin, they are buying a timeless piece of history that guarantees both prestige and profit. In the end, the 1966 Australian 1-cent coin is a shining reminder that true treasure often hides in plain sight. It shows us that fortune favors those with curiosity, patience, and a keen eye for detail. Whether it sits in a velvet-lined collector's box or rests quietly in someone's forgotten coin jar, its value remains undeniable. This tiny piece of copper has the power to elevate lives, to make millionaires and even billionaires overnight, and to remind us that history often leaves behind treasures far more valuable than we ever imagine. So, if you ever stumble upon one of these rare coins, think twice before spending it, for it might just be your golden ticket to unimaginable wealth. Next up, the year 1973 might not seem remarkable at first glance, but in the world of coin collecting, it carries a special weight, especially when it comes to the Australian 1-cent coin. Introduced during the era when copper coinage was still shining in pockets and purses, the 1973 1-cent piece is no ordinary coin. It has become a symbol of rarity, value, and unimaginable wealth for collectors and investors alike. Owning one of the rare surviving examples today could make you richer than you ever dreamed, turning an overlooked copper cent into a fortune worth millions of dollars. When Australia shifted into a new economic rhythm in the 1970s, vast numbers of 1-cent coins were minted for everyday transactions. Yet, very few from 1973 survived in pristine condition, and an even smaller number carry minting quirks and striking errors that push their value beyond imagination. These rare examples are the ones that capture the attention of collectors worldwide. To the untrained eye, it may look like just another old coin, but to the right buyer, this small copper treasure could mean the difference between ordinary life and instant millionaire status. One of the reasons the 1973 Australian 1-cent coin holds such a grip on collectors' hearts is its scarcity in high grades. Decades of circulation wore most examples down to dull and scratched relics. Finding one in sharp detail, with its reddish copper glow intact, is like striking gold. Add to this the possibility of error strikes, coins with off-centering, double impressions, or unusual toning, and suddenly you have an object that is worth far beyond its humble face value. These rare survivors are what drive the frenzy, pushing the coin's market into the realm of fantasy-like wealth. But beyond rarity, this coin carries history and symbolism. On the obverse, the regal image of Queen Elizabeth II captures a timeless authority and the continuity of the crown during a shifting era. On the reverse, the charming feathertail glider design, unique to Australia's natural heritage, turns a coin into more than just money. It becomes art, culture, and national pride stamped into metal. Holding this coin is like holding a miniature time capsule, linking you to the spirit of Australia in the early 1970s. There are countless tales whispered among collectors about ordinary people stumbling upon this coin in jars, boxes, or drawers, unaware of its true worth. Imagine opening an old container in your attic and finding a 1973 1-cent coin in near-perfect condition. That moment of discovery could be life-changing. In today's booming coin market, rare examples of this coin have been valued in the millions. That means what once bought nothing more than a piece of candy can now buy a mansion, a luxury car, or future financial freedom. The 1973 1-cent coin has also become a symbol of opportunity. Many investors see it not only as a collectible, but as a timeless asset that grows more valuable each year. Unlike paper currency that fades or loses its value to inflation, a rare coin like this only appreciates as its supply diminishes and its legend grows. Each passing decade turns it into something even more priceless, and that's why wealthy collectors compete fiercely to add it to their treasures. This is no ordinary coin. It is a ticket to prestige and legacy. The moment you own such a piece, you are not just a collector. You become part of a story bigger than yourself. It is a story of history, of transformation, and a wealth that multiplies beyond measure. The 1973 Australian 1-cent coin has the power to change fortunes, to take someone from the shadows of financial struggle into the light of extraordinary wealth. For many, it represents hope, luck, and destiny all wrapped into one small copper disc. So, when you think of coins, don't just imagine spare change rattling at the bottom of a jar. Think of treasures like the 1973 Australian 1 cent coin, tiny yet mighty, ordinary in appearance yet extraordinary in value. It reminds us that fortune can be hiding in the simplest things, waiting for the right person to recognize it. And who knows? That person could be you. If you ever come across this rare gem, hold on to it tightly, for it may just be the key to unlocking a fortune that could change your life forever. Next up, the year 1976 may seem like just another moment in time, but in the world of coin collecting, it carries a hidden spark of magic, especially when we talk about the Australian 1 cent coin. At first glance, this copper piece looks ordinary, something you could imagine jingling in a child's pocket or resting at the bottom of an old drawer. Yet, the truth is far more astonishing. Certain rare examples of the 1976 1 cent coin have risen to incredible heights in the numismatic market, with values whispered to reach into the millions. For those lucky enough to stumble across one, this small coin has the power to turn a simple discovery into an overnight fortune. The story of the 1976 1 cent coin begins during a time when these copper coins were still part daily life in Australia. Minted in large numbers, they were used endlessly in shops, cafes, and markets. Yet, as time passed, most were worn down, scratched, and forgotten. Only a tiny fraction survived in pristine condition, and even fewer carry the rare errors or unusual toning that collectors crave. These are the treasures that transformed the 1976 1 cent piece from a humble cent into a $1 million marvel. The scarcity of flawless or error coins from this year is what makes them so intensely sought after today. Collectors are always drawn to the stories behind a coin, and the 1976 1 cent is filled with intrigue. Imagine discovering a coin that was accidentally double-struck, slightly misaligned, or bearing a unique copper tone caused by decades of natural oxidation. These small differences elevate the coin into something far beyond ordinary currency. They make it a one-of-a-kind artifact. Each mistake or variation becomes a fingerprint of history, and the more unique the flaw, the higher the value it commands in the marketplace. For passionate collectors, these are not just coins, they are pieces of destiny. What makes this coin even more special is the imagery stamped onto its surface. On one side, the youthful portrait of Queen Elizabeth II reflects both authority and continuity, linking Australia to its royal heritage. On the other, the delicate yet striking design of the feathertail glider showcases Australia's unique natural world. These symbols combined create a coin that is more than money. It is history, art, and culture all pressed into copper. Holding a 1976 1 cent coin in rare condition is like holding a miniature masterpiece that tells the story of an entire nation. Over the decades, countless tales have emerged of ordinary people uncovering these coins in unexpected places. A jar of change on a dusty shelf, an old wallet tucked away in a drawer, or a forgotten collection inherited from a relative. Such discoveries have changed lives overnight. Imagine the thrill of finding a 1976 1 cent coin in uncirculated condition, only to discover that its worth could buy you a luxury home or set you up for life. These stories fuel the excitement and mystery, reminding us that fortune often hides in the most ordinary objects. The market for rare coins has only grown stronger with time, and the 1976 1 cent coin stands as a shining example of how something so small can hold unimaginable wealth. Unlike paper money that loses value, rare coins appreciate with each passing year, especially when linked to historical milestones. Investors know this, which is why they compete so fiercely for these coins. Owning one isn't just about financial gain. It's about status, legacy, and holding a timeless treasure that grows more valuable with every passing generation. For those who dream of wealth, this coin represents more than just money. It is a symbol of hope, luck, and transformation. The 1976 1 cent coin has the power to take someone from an ordinary life into a world of extraordinary possibilities. To own one is to hold a key that unlocks not just financial prosperity, but also a deep connection to history. And that is why collectors are willing to pay staggering amounts to secure something that blends fortune with heritage, rarity with beauty. So, the next time you come across a forgotten jar of coins, don't dismiss the humble copper pieces at the bottom. Look closely, because one of them might be the legendary 1976 Australian 1 cent coin. That tiny disc could be your golden ticket. The difference between a modest life and unimaginable wealth. It reminds us all that treasures don't always shine in gold or silver. Sometimes they hide in copper, waiting for the right person to recognize their true worth. And if that person is you, your fortune could change in the blink of an eye. Next up, the year 1983 marked an important moment in Australia's monetary history. While the humble 1-cent coin had been circulating for years, the 1983 issue holds a particularly mysterious and powerful place among collectors. At first glance, it may look like a simple copper coin, the kind that once passed through countless hands for everyday purchases. Yet beneath its ordinary appearance lies the potential for unimaginable wealth. Some rare surviving examples of the 1983 Australian 1-cent coin have become treasures valued in the millions, capable of changing a person's life overnight. The story begins with the fact that by the early 1980s, the use of the 1-cent coin was already beginning to decline. Inflation meant its practical purchasing power was shrinking, and as a result, many coins were stored away, forgotten, or melted down over the decades. This makes the 1983 mintage a key point in the coin's history, because while millions are produced, very few have survived in mint condition, and even fewer exist with rare errors and striking variations that collectors chase with such passion. These unique survivors are what push the coin's value into astonishing territory. Collectors know that rarity is the heartbeat of value. In the case of the 1983 Australian 1-cent, rarity comes in several forms. Some coins display unusual toning from the copper's natural oxidation, creating rainbow-like shades that make them unique works of art. Others were struck slightly off-center, doubled, or carry subtle flaws that slip past the mint's quality control. Each imperfection adds to its character and uniqueness, transforming what was once an everyday coin into a one-of-a-kind masterpiece worth far more than its face value. The design itself adds another layer of significance. On the obverse, the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II captures not just her reign, but a symbolic link between Australia and its royal heritage during the early 1980s. On the reverse, the feather-tail glider, an agile and uniquely Australian marsupial, reminds us of the nation's rich wildlife and culture. Together, these images make the 1983 1-cent coin more than money. It is art, identity, and national pride pressed into copper. Collectors don't just see a coin, they see a story frozen in metal. Stories circulate of people stumbling upon these coins in old jars, dusty drawers, or inherited collections, only to realize they are sitting on unimaginable wealth. Imagine the shock of finding a forgotten 1983 1-cent piece that turns out to be worth millions in today's booming market. That single moment could transform an ordinary life into one of extraordinary opportunity. The coin becomes not just a piece of history, but a fortune waiting to be unlocked by the right discovery. The market for rare coins has only intensified with time, and the 1983 Australian 1-cent coin has climbed higher in status with each passing decade. Unlike paper money that weakens against inflation, rare coins strengthen in value. Their worth fueled by scarcity and the hunger of collectors. Investors know this, which is why they chase after coins like the 1983 cent, because it is not only a symbol of wealth, but also a secure store of value that only grows more desirable with time. To own such a coin is to hold far more than copper. It is to hold prestige, legacy, and a key to fortune. The 1983 1-cent coin has earned a reputation, not just as a collectible, but as a dream maker. It represents luck, rarity, and destiny. For some, it has already changed lives, and for others, it continues to inspire hope. The chance that a small piece of metal could open the door to unimaginable riches. So the next time you glance at a humble copper cent, don't dismiss it as worthless. The 1983 Australian 1-cent coin reminds us that treasures are often hidden in plain sight. A coin that once bought next to nothing might now be powerful enough to buy luxury, security, and freedom. Fortune does not always announce itself with glittering gold. It sometimes arrives quietly, in the form of a small copper coin waiting for the right person to recognize its true worth. And if that person is you, your life could change forever. See you in the next video.